We live in interesting times. Just about anything is possible really now for us in the year 2020, at least those of us who are alive now, and almost anything really is possible. Even those of us who are a little bit older maybe and only have another 10, 20 years still. It's interesting to see where technology is now and where it has come from. And of course, before we even start to talk about that, we have to mention the fact that there is more technology available to certain people, certain connected people, certain rich people, certain people maybe within the government or deep state or whatever you want to call it, elites that have access to certain technology. We know that. It's not a conspiracy theory. It just is a conspiracy. They are conspiring to have technology far greater than the average person. And even the police force nowadays has technology that the average person isn't allowed to have or use, like night vision goggles and body armor and all that kind of stuff. But the state, the deep state and the elites, they have technology that is, 20, 25 years, the army, 20, 25 years or more in advance of what the rest of us have. On layman's terms, I'm just talking about technology in terms of how quickly it accelerates and how rapidly things advance. And of course we know that technology increases exponentially, and we've seen examples of that in real life, and it is happening. And I think a lot of technology has been suppressed for the people in the past, say, 20 years. Not a lot has happened in the past 20 years except for your nightmare tracking devices known as smart devices or smartphones that have ruined people's brains and changed society for the worse in the past 10 years or so. But other than that, for the average person, we're not getting new toasters, we're not getting new microwave ovens. The 80s maybe was the last time innovation really came to the people, other than, like I said, electronic devices that have been used in a lot of ways to enslave the people. Now I want to talk briefly about the singularity theory, which is, I guess, a theory proposed by many different scientists and theorists that believe there will be a point in the fairly near future. The exact date is, of course, not known and up for debate, but a point when there is a massive change in how technology and humans interact. And what it basically looks like is our technology continuing to increase exponentially up to a point where we're not just talking about faster calculators and stuff here. We're talking about quantum leaps in like artificial intelligence and so forth. Let's not get into too much specifics. Let's talk about it more broadly. But technology is increasing rapidly, and it will get to a point, unless something major happens. And maybe even if something major happens, it's just going to seem to keep on increasing. Unless technology is completely wiped out, it seems to have a way of regenerating and continuing on. For better or for worse, that just seems to be how technology is. And we can embrace it or we can fight against it, or we sort of right now have kind of like a haphazard approach, or even kind of an ignorant approach. We don't even acknowledge that technology is increasing that rapidly. But because we, like I said, no longer really see it in our day-to-day lives. Our day-to-day lives have been kind of, changed. Well, right now we're in lockdown, so technology for the average person really isn't increasing that much, other than what they have access to on the internet or through their devices and such. But technology was, rapidly increasing throughout the 1800s and 1900s, and we really have, somehow managed to get a hold of that for the people, and the average person is not seeing that technological exponential growth anymore. But like I said, it is happening, and it doesn't seem to be able to be stopped. And so there will be a point that people believe that we will kind of, I don't know if it's lose control is the right word, but it will get to a point where technology is, it's hard to even talk about it because, other than vaguely, but it will be in control of itself, and it will be able to continue itself and to continue becoming more powerful and more bigger and more widespread and more omnipotent and so forth. And what happens to humans at that point, we don't know. And this, of course, you can talk about sci-fi, and just because various authors throughout the years have touched on this topic doesn't mean that it can't happen. And people say, oh, that's sci-fi, right? I've seen that in a sci-fi movie or read it in a sci-fi book, and that's true, but almost everything's been written about in a sci-fi book. Almost every single topic has been written about or thought about, and if it hasn't, then you're free to go and write and get rich off of a new topic in sci-fi. But most of it has been covered. And so when something, when reality continues to change and advance, and all of a sudden something happens, people say, wow, that was just like that sci-fi movie or something. It's like, well, yeah, like I said, there is almost every topic and almost every scenario has already been written and enacted in movies. So, yeah, reality does tend to resemble sci-fi. It will. And so just because people have written, say, movies like The Terminator and stuff like that, where this kind of thing was sort of a backdrop theme of the movie, out of control technology, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that that kind of future isn't possible. And in fact, maybe people who knew or predicted that that kind of future was possible or have been working toward that kind of a future maybe funded or wrote those movies. We don't really know. But that's neither here nor there. The future that we seem to be going toward is one of higher and more technology. And, of course, technology has two blades on it. It is a double-edged sword. And you can be cut on the backswing, basically, with technology. And it has major pros and cons. And not necessarily going to go into all of those here, but what I think is happening with technology is that we're coming to a point and we do hit some kind of singularity, whether it's in 2035 or I've heard many different years proposed, 2030, 2045, whatever it is, where computers and other technology is just so vastly superior to what we can understand, and it's able to take care of itself and such that that exponential curve just goes so far beyond human understanding that we live in a new paradigm. And I think that has been ignored, that this coming sort of reality has been ignored and, like I said, poo-pooed as sci-fi fantasies and all that kind of stuff. But I believe that is essentially what is coming and what is happening. And I'm not trying to put a negative or a positive spin on it either. That's just what I see is coming. And there will be major changes, of course, for humanity then. And now, to put a little bit more of a positive spin on this, though, I think one of the things that is going to happen to humanity, if we coexist well with technology, and if we coexist well with each other, with ourselves, if we can get sorted out, because I don't think right now we're very well sorted out and we're not ready for this. And certain people are taking power grabs right now and playing for all the marbles, as I've said before, and not playing the long game because they don't have to anymore. If they can get this technology in their hands fully and keep the people away from this technology completely, then they will control essentially everything. They will control all of reality, really, from that point on. And I think that is some people's goal. And as I've said before, people will say, well, come on, even if that is possible, why would anyone do that? And I must ask you, why would someone not do that? Why would someone not want to control all of reality, or at least all of the world or whatever? Many people have tried in the past. You think that people aren't trying today? That's the psyop, of course. If anyone proposes such a thing, it's a conspiracy theory and you're to be ignored. But why would someone not conspire? Why would someone not have a secret plot? Why would someone not be plotting, if it's possible at least, to essentially take over everything? Of course they would. There's 8 billion people on this planet. And there's a wide variety of people. People have been, their genetics are different for one thing, and then the experiences that people have been through are varied. There's all kinds of people out here in this world now. And some of those people are diabolical, And also at the same time, some of that group is very intelligent. And within that diabolical and intelligent group, some of those people are motivated to fuck over everybody else. And so we've got it's a very small number of people, because most of us don't want that. But there is a small number of people that essentially are going to try and use technology to enslave everything, enslave everyone, like a matrix almost. They want to basically put people, all of us, into a matrix. And we're kind of halfway there, a lot of us, with people just sleepwalking through their lives. So for a lot of people, it's not going to be very hard to go all the way in and not even know that they're not real anymore, essentially, that their lives are just not even under their control, and they're just a drone, a battery, a power source, or whatever we end up getting used for. So if we get used and kept at all, a lot of people will not be kept, I think, is the plan anyway. We don't know what it exactly will look like, but we know technology will be so advanced that we can't imagine it now, right? 30 years ago, you wouldn't have believed people would have, the internet in their hands, all of human knowledge basically accessible to them. They wouldn't have understood that and wouldn't have believed it. But it came true, right? We don't know what's coming in the next 30 years. We don't, not even in 10 years, at the rate things change when things go exponential, which is what technology is doing now. So that's why I say we live in an interesting time. People have said that throughout the ages. We live in interesting times. And in many cases it was interesting. But now we live in very, very interesting times, because all of reality could possibly be up for grabs and able to be ensnared and utilized by very powerful people, very powerful, or even entities, we could say. It might not even be humans. It might not be humans. So as technology continues to increase at this fast rate, and as we approach the singularity, there's going to be a time when technology is so advanced that, assuming we, the people, are in control, not whatever, the machine, the system, the deep state, whatever you want to call it now, whatever version it morphs into in 10, 20, 30 years, whenever this happens, we don't want that in control of that. And I think that's the plan, is for everything to be locked down and everything to be controlled, and for us to go into that future and that technology to be achieved or whatever, and it to be used to completely enslave. And because, like I said, if it can be done, and then someone will do it. There is someone that's going to be willing to screw over everybody else to get super, 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 super amounts of power. In fact, supreme power, and perhaps all of our power at once. But at that point, when technology is at that point, if we are in control, the people are in control, and I don't know exactly what that looks like either, but the technology that will be available is unthinkable to us now and would seem magical to us now. Absolutely magical, absolutely bizarre. So things I will suggest will sound bizarre, but we will be able to, I believe, bring everybody back to life, everybody who has died. I believe that. And there are religious undertones to that concept. There are hallucinogenic mushroom, DMT type trip undertones to that concept. But I think that maybe the religious shamans of old that all of religions, modern religions, were based on 2,000 years ago, ended up getting based on these shamanic religions and visions and such. I think they were onto something. I think that they had near-death experiences, and they saw, maybe they said, oh, well, I talked to God or whatever, but what it actually was, they don't have any other explanation for it at the time, but what it actually was a vision of maybe the future. And I think maybe some people tapped into that, and there is some truth to a lot of religions, and it's been changed and morphed and watered down over the years and abused by people. But when you look at many of the things that they're talking about in the Bible, for example, like the mark of the beast and 666 and all that kind of stuff. A lot of that stuff does seem to be coming true. Whether or not the people who are responsible for it coming true know about the prophecy, of course they do, and are making things happen along the lines of the prophecies so that they can call anyone crazy and, weird religious nut jobs or whatever if they bring it up, like Bill 6666. I mean, come on, that's not an accident, and they're just gaslighting people, basically. But, I think we are going to be able to bring everybody back to life. I think we are going to have essentially heaven. We are going to be able to give a beautiful existence to all life, not just humans, but I think, veganism basically is going to become ubiquitous, and it won't even be called that anymore. We basically just will not be, we just won't harm. We're not going to harm each other, and we're not going to harm other sentient beings. Anything that we can perceive any kind of conscience or sentience, we won't do harm to anymore, because we won't need to. And that will be basically our religion, I think, will be to non-harm. And I think that if we do that, and if we continue forward with that, as whatever technology is then, it continues to accelerate exponentially. If we still have the reins of that, almost anything is possible. And anyone who's existed will be brought back. We will exist together in a perfect world. And through technology, all of that can be achieved. Resources can be properly utilized. We won't need to blow each other up, and that to the nth degree, to the nth degree. It's hard to imagine, isn't it? But that is possible within our lifetimes. So people even now who say, I don't know if I'm going to make it another, say, 25 years or whatever, I don't know if I have another 25 years, you might not need to have another 25 years. If we, the people, can get a hold of technology, even today's technology. The technology exists to heal almost all illness now, right now. And most of that's not even with nanobots and stuff. Most of that's even just with plants. We are hiding a lot of technology that's just basic biology technology on this planet. We are hiding the cure for many illnesses. And as my research has expanded over the years, I've seen countless examples of that. That technology is suppressed, that cures are suppressed, that life could be so much better, should be so much better. We, not all of us, but some within us are squandering this beautiful life for the rest of us. And many are going to their deaths, living lives within a rat race, miserable existences compared to what it should be. How I believe it's going to happen is there's going to be a computer so powerful that it can simulate anything, and it can make an entire universe inside a simulator, run it through in super fast motion to see what happens, and do that with multiple different changes, move this here, change this here, or whatever, and see exactly what happens in every scenario, basically predicting the future. I basically think we will have a computer that can essentially predict the future that way, with a super powerful simulator in it. Maybe it won't be perfect, I don't know, but that's essentially what I think we are going to have, is the ability to predict the future. So imagine that, the ability to predict the future with technology that is increasing exponentially every second and changing every second, and has already surpassed what any human can even understand. And at that point, if we can wield it, if we can be either cooperative with it or in charge of it, I don't know what that future exactly looks like, but if we have any say, and it's not the people that are currently running this world, things can be amazingly beautiful for all of us. You imagine your perfect day. Just imagine that. Imagine what that is. You can have that all the time, every day, and way better than that. Way better than you can imagine. Imagine your best day. You're waking up, you're at the cabin, your kids are there, your whole family's there, everyone's happy, grandma and grandpa are back, you're going out on the lake. Better than that though, Everyone can come back. Everyone that you miss can come back. Everyone that's sick can be healed. Everyone that's crippled can be made whole with technology. And it's being withheld from us. And even the technology we have now is a shameful shadow of what it should be. And we should be able to use it and wield it for the people. We should be advancing it and using it and controlling it properly for the people and advantaging it for the people. But instead, technology, the technocrats are using it to bring us to a cashless society, to a control grid, to a smartphone contact tracking, COVID-19 passport injection world, basically. And it's just a shameful, basic hell, basically. We're creating hell. And I think technology, that's what some people essentially are using it for, is they're going to basically put us all into hell, is what they want to do. And just like the Bible says, what did the Bible tell me as a kid? It said, what's hell? Hell is separation from everyone else that you love, and being together with those, that you fear or that you can't stand. And it is being, uncomfortable, not getting sleep, not getting rest, being in pain, being sad, being worried, all of the negative emotions, all of the negative experiences just constantly happening to you. And I think that some people want that for a lot of us. And they want it to go forever. They want us to basically have eternal life, and they want to basically subject us to that forever. And with, technology. And they have almost the technology to do it now, let alone what we will have in the coming years. Especially if we, the people, don't get a hold of it. Back in the 50s, they were running experiments on people. They were doing, in the 50s and 60s, they were doing crazy experiments with LSD, with mind control, with MK Ultra, with, what do you call it when you travel? Not astral traveling, but anyways, remote viewing, I think. All kinds of things like that they were studying, right? And that was all conspiracy theory. And then later, yeah, it was true. All the documents have to come out, it's true. So people say, they're not doing that now. Nothing like that now. That was in the 50s and 60s, though. Well, that's what they were saying in the 50s and 60s. They were saying, they don't do that anymore, right? They're always doing that. They're always doing that. Stop it with they're not doing that anymore thing. They are. And so it's no longer conspiracy theory. That's such a weak attempt to try and dissuade people from the truth now. Conspiracy theory, you're crazy, you're paranoid. Yeah, people aren't buying it anymore. And I hope that they don't buy it going forward as we go into this future, because it depends on who's in charge, who's in control of things. Are the people in control? Does the power rest with the people, in the individuals? Or does it rest with the collective, with the state? It seems like the state is trying to take ultimate power right now. And why right now? Because this is when technology is approaching that point. If they can take control of the world for the next 5-10 years, they've basically got it sealed up, I think. So this is kind of our chance in the next little while. And let's not be complacent and not do anything now, because we have a little while. We have a little while to get it done. That means we need to start now, or maybe we needed to start years ago, I don't know. The good news is that if we're in control of that, it will be like heaven. It will be like heaven. It will be maybe not infinite time, but it will be, we will be allowed to live and able to live until we don't want to anymore, essentially, or until a freak accident happens. But even then, we would be able to be brought back again, and brought back completely, as any form we want to, any age of ourselves we want to, or in fact any form, anyone's form, any animal's form, probably anything. The possibilities are going to be quite, we can't even really describe what the possibilities are right now. We don't know. But if everyone can come back, everyone, and they have all their memories of their life, and then everyone will be given the ability, through technology or whatever, I don't know, we'll be able to have all knowledge of not just ourselves, our own lives, but all lives, and not just humans, but everything on the planet, and not just this planet, but all planets. We will have that much brain power and that much ability to comprehend. We will be like deities almost at that point, because we'll be almost all knowing. And we, like I said, all mysteries will be solved. Where'd you put your keys that time? They got lost. You had to get new keys cut. Where were they? You'd be able to figure that out. And it's not just little things like that. It's, who killed JFK? It's where's Jimmy Hoffa? It's what really happens in the Bermuda Triangle. All mysteries will be solved, and all crimes will be solved. And even little things, we'll be able to look back on every moment of our lives. Every moment, I believe. And people say, oh, no, I did some stuff secretly. I closed the door, I locked it, I made sure no one was within earshot. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Oh, no, it wasn't recorded. There was no recording device. It doesn't matter. No, everything will be available. All of the past will be known. Exactly how the dinosaurs died will be known. Everything. Everything will be known. All of knowledge will be available at that point. And what are we going to be able to do with that? I think I'll save that for the topic of another video, but I'm sure other people have had theories like this before, and I could read or listen to what they have said. But I tend to be the kind of person that just enjoys coming up with stuff myself based on patterns I see, what's going on in the world right now, and trends and that kind of thing. I think where we are going is definitely toward major technology, and the internet was a game changer, as I said, for years. But it's way more than the internet now. The internet's just one way that we have basically come together as a species and started to work on establishing a bit of a collective consciousness. But the technology is going to change everything, and I think we really need to be working on being in charge, being in control of ourselves, being in control of our lives, being self-sustaining as much as we can, but also working together as much as we can cooperatively and voluntarily, and get over this tyranny, get over this coercion and violence and threats of violence that we've been using for forever, almost basically, of our history to control each other. We need to get just past that. We need true world peace. We need not just disarmament, not just backing down and truces and stuff, but we need a mentality of peace, a mentality of non-harming each other. We must be able to do things another way now. We must be able to evolve past that now, because the technology that we can wield is so great. We've got to be able to have great thoughts, I think, and great actions now, because the technology is just so powerful. And as it gets more powerful, it's just that much more important that the people, that the individual is in control of themselves and in control of the future of society, not a few individuals, not a deep state cabal, not a few 1% of 1% elites. That is a recipe for disaster. It is an absolute recipe for disaster, because there will be somebody who will do something dastardly. There will be, if there's that opportunity, and it does look like there is that opportunity, then someone and someone's will try to grasp power. It has happened all through history, and it will continue to happen. It's part of human nature. It's evolutionary baggage that we have picked up, our greed and inability to shut it off even when we have enough. We still continue to try to get more. No one's happy. Not even the richest person on the planet. Not even Bill Gates is happy. He's trying to make more money. Everyone's trying to make more money. You're not really making it. It's not really money, is it? So going forward, we need to be in control of ourselves, in control of society, and we need to be in control of technology, and to get it out of the secretive hands of the deep state, where it can be and is being developed so that it can be wielded and used against the people. And if we can do that, then, and if we can coexist with technology as it becomes supremely more advanced and intelligent and powerful than all humans put together. If we can do that, then I think that future that we've glimpsed maybe a few times here and there through history in trances or near-death experiences or drug trips of certain kinds, I think that future, that heaven, is possible. And what does that say about God? I'll save that for another video too. But there are so many interesting parallels about this real future I believe is coming, and what I thought was imaginary religious stories. I think there are some truths within those religious stories. It's not all wrong, as I came to believe in my 30s or so, after growing up in a religious house and being sheltered through my 20s even, and then realizing in my 30s, wait a second, that's not right. But I think there is actually some truth to that. I think there can be what we now consider would be an afterlife. It will seem like an afterlife. It will be a long and wonderful and very different experience. But I think that we will be there with our friends. I think we'll be there with our families, even our ancestors. Anyone who can and will be there will be there. I think we'll be able to bring everyone back. And so, those who have died supposedly in vain maybe did not die in vain. Maybe they have another chance. And I will talk more about these topics in another video, but I wanted to sort of set it up this time. I haven't really talked about much of that before. And of course, this is all changing as the world changes. My vision of how things will be, of course, adjusts, but this is how I feel now, basically, about what's coming. And I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.